Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Find Your Model Health, the official podcast for those looking to optimize their long-term health and weight goals and understand how their body really works. I am your host. I'm Shemaine Looney. I'm a fitness and nutrition expert, certified iridologist, and biohacker. And I'm very happy to have you back with me for another part of your day. In this episode, we're going to look at molecular hydrogen. But before I go on, I must remind you that the information in these podcast episodes is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice. Please consult your health practitioner before making any lifestyle changes. I hope everyone is really well. I wanted to look at molecular hydrogen. Most people know I'm a huge advocate of molecular hydrogen. I speak about it a lot, but because of the term molecular hydrogen, it seems very chemistry and most people can't wrap their head around it. So they see me promoting it all the time. I share the studies, I've done blog posts, I've done audio clips, but they don't quite understand what is molecular hydrogen, and that's where these podcasts and even the videos I do can be very helpful because it helps me kind of just break down stuff so it's more digestible and consumable for people. Really, I've said it many times, my job is just helping people understand this stuff, understand their body, understand what a supplement is, how it would work, or how they can optimize their health. But the understanding part is the important part. So I have lots and lots of supporting research in my biohacking library group on Facebook. There's some content on my YouTube channel, but let's just get into it. I actually do have many clients that use molecular hydrogen, and I wanted to get this out, hopefully, depending on time and how my editor works, before I have a very exciting interview tomorrow with a water specialist. So these kind of go hand in hand. So anyway, so molecular hydrogen, or as sometimes I have referred to it in the past as the angel molecule, because it is such a powerful molecule, yet so gentle at the same time. It's really incredible. I do not skip a day without molecular hydrogen. On my recent vacation around Europe, I still took my molecular hydrogen every day. But I really, this molecule is incredible and was potentially created by the angels. I started using molecular hydrogen back around the end of 2019 after I got an abnormal pap diagnosis where my doctor and gynecologist expressed some concerns that my cells were high risk precancerous cells. And then lo and behold, after all the biopsies and numerous checkups, it was confirmed that the cells were cancerous, so cervical cancer. And then I had the LEEP procedure done. But during this time, of course, it is in my nature to delve deep into everything. And one thing that just came across my path, obviously intentionally, was molecular hydrogen. So I delved deep into the world of molecular hydrogen. And to this day, I swear, it is one of the main things that has kept me so healthy, cleared my body of cancer cells, helped me recover. It's incredible. In regards to the whole pandemic, I didn't get sick, and if I did, it was like a tiny head cold. It was gone within a day. Like, I'm quite resilient now. My body clears out issues very fast. And I do put a lot of this down to molecular hydrogen. The first day, before I kind of go into detail on what it is, the first time I took molecular hydrogen, immediately I felt it working. I had a lot of inflammation around my neck and my chest. Most of that probably from stress. My body was very inflamed from life, from training, work, kids, the whole lot. And obviously the worry and stress of being told you might have cancer. So as soon as I took molecular hydrogen, I felt that tension and inflammation around my chest. It lifted immediately. Like, it was quite obvious to me something was happening. So ever since then, I don't want to say it's expensive, because when put into perspective, it's not, when you divide it into the days and the amount of tablets you get. But if there's one thing I'm not going to go without, it's going to be this. If I was told I could only have one supplement for the rest of my life, it would be molecular hydrogen. And those of you who know how serious I am about my health, and even around supplements, that's a big saying for me to say. So let's look at what is molecular hydrogen. So molecular hydrogen is known as H2, which is a or it's also known as diatomic hydrogen. So if you were to look at it, it is H2, and it is basically tasteless, odorless. Some people will taste off the tablet a little bit of a metallic taste, and that is due to that interaction between the magnesium and the water. Not everyone, but some people will get that taste. But generally, hydrogen is tasteless and odorless. It is flammable, so we want to be careful there. But there is 2,000 plus scientific studies, including over 100 clinical studies, suggesting that H2 has strong therapeutic potentials in over 170 different human and animal disease models, and is essentially beneficial for every organ in the human body. Hydrogen is the smallest element in the universe. It basically is hydrogen. H2 is 2 hydrogen, which then makes it a gas. It is a very, very, very tiny, teeny molecule, and because of that, it penetrates into all the tissues in your body in less than 10 minutes, into every cell in your body. So it is a gas, and like other gas signaling molecules, it can modulate signal transduction. Like, it can give signals throughout the body. It can help with protein synthesis and phosphorylation and gene expression, which is obviously important for those of us who are worried about cancer or other disease. It has very strong anti-inflammatory effects, anti-allergy and anti-apoptotic protective effects, which is basically cleaning up the body. It's amazing for activating NRF2 pathways, helping with detoxification. Like, this little molecule is so incredible that when I did delve deep, I then got educated underneath the Molecular Hydrogen Institute and its leading researcher, who is Tyler LeBaron, who's actually one of the leading researchers in the world on molecular hydrogen. He's done a lot of work in China, some in Japan, I believe. So I ended up delving deep into the education there and became a molecular hydrogen level 3 professional. So I had to go through 3 of their courses, which actually are quite intense, like quite intense. But this little molecule had me almost mesmerized. I was like, I need this. People need this. People need to know about this. So before I go on, it is a molecule, and I have mentioned gas a few times, but how we would take it, how I recommend taking it, is through tablet form, which has been shown to give us the best efficacy and highest concentrations of hydrogen into the body. There are machines that will create, but the concentrations don't seem to be as strong as those consistently seen through use of the tablets. But also, some of these machines, they don't actually deliver on what they say. They can be unreliable, and in some cases you're getting no hydrogen off them at all. There is a couple of machines that people will look at on Amazon that maybe they can put into a beaker, or it comes like a water bottle, and it says it creates molecular hydrogen. That's inaccurate. Those are inaccurate statements. Those machines are very unreliable. They don't have the consistent reports and efficacy of the tablets. And then also, there was something else. You can get molecular hydrogen infused water, like in a water bottle. I It can be expensive, and then again unreliable, because hydrogen is such a small molecule. It does dissipate and release into the atmosphere very, very fast. So we want to take it, and I have a video going into exact detail on how it should be taken over on my YouTube channel, but we want to take it in tablet form, in preferably very clean. In my case, I use low deuterium water. Drink it as fast as we can and reap all the benefits. Like I said, as soon as you consume molecular hydrogen, although most of it gets absorbed in the intestines and then it dissipates out into the rest of the body, as soon as it hits your tongue, you are starting to get those benefits in your mouth and on your tongue. So if you have any sort of canker sores or mouth ulcers, as soon as you start to drink molecular hydrogen, it is immediately penetrating and starting to work on them. Molecular hydrogen, there are some antidotes. I've heard a lot of stories. I've seen it in my own practice. I've seen it with myself, where people who do have canker sores, they'll take molecular hydrogen before bed. Next morning, they're completely gone. I've heard of cases with herpes breakouts. As soon as they take molecular hydrogen, both oral and genital, next day gone. So, and there's other ways we can hack it. Some people will use hydrogen topically. I don't want to get into that now, but it really is an amazing little molecule. And because of this, it's really picking up traction in the science world. So there, like I said, there is an abundance of studies on hydrogen and its benefits for overall health, but especially for mitochondrial health and inflammation, which is really where my main focus is. I do really like the aspect around upregulating the NRF2 pathway and aiding in detoxification and supporting positive gene expression, but really my interest is more around mitochondrial health and inflammation, because that's where we're seeing most of the driving factors and the research around disease stemming from inflammation of the cell, the mitochondria not working properly, and then the cell contents or the water in the cell being dirty. And Thomas Cowan has a lot of research and an amazing book around water and cancer on that idea. But this is what I really like about molecular hydrogen, is its potent anti-inflammatory effects, but also its ability to support mitochondrial function. Mitochondria are your little energy powerhouses within your cells that help you basically make energy. And I say this all the time. Look, your mitochondria make your energy. If you're not making energy, if you're fatigued all the time, there's something wrong with your mitochondria. What's causing that then? So as far as the anti-inflammatory effects go, what's amazing about molecular hydrogen is that it's selective in its anti-inflammatory effects, which basically means that it's not just making everything anti-inflammatory. For instance, with a workout, you want to have some inflammation, because that's where you get your growth and your benefits from weight training or exercise. If you take molecular hydrogen post-exercise, the research shows us that it actually will be selective in its effects, and it will only be anti-inflammatory in the areas that we need it to be an anti-inflammatory. There was some recent research showing that molecular hydrogen has very potent effects on delayed onset muscle soreness, so DOMS post-workout, but also then muscle protein synthesis, and can actually upregulate the muscle protein synthesis, basically your growth factor on how you recover and grow from a workout so you don't get as sore, but you can see increases. And this research, I don't have it to hand right now, I'm looking for it, but it basically showed increases in strength and muscle growth. Let me see. Yeah, no, I'll get it and I'll share it then in the description once I find it. But apart from that, there's a lot of other research. So let's look at a couple. Molecular hydrogen, from what I have shared, hydrogen water taken with, well, this one is hydrogen water taken with carbohydrates with slow your uptake of hydrogen, because the hydrogen can get trapped and infused in your stomach. So this basically means we want to take hydrogen on an empty stomach, which is how I recommend it. And anyway, the hydrogen molecules will get bound to the carbohydrate molecules if you take hydrogen around carbs or really around food. So it's best for best results and efficacy. You want to take molecular hydrogen on an empty stomach. So this one study basically showed us that molecular hydrogen can help with MODS, which is multiple organ dysfunction syndrome induced by influenza or other viral infectious diseases. This study, titled Hydrogen Medicine Therapy, an effective and promising novel treatment for multiple organ dysfunction syndrome induced by influenza and other viral infection diseases. And this study basically shows us that, given the theory that molecular hydrogen can both significantly downregulate expressions of inflammation, we know this, related genes, and selectively reduce free radicals, there are reasons to consider that a cytokine storm and oxidative stress can be suppressed when getting infected with avian influenza and other severe viruses. So basically showing that molecular hydrogen can be very beneficial in addressing that cytokine and inflammatory storm when you do get infected, helping to protect potentially the organs of the host and the different tissues. So that obviously, during our current times, that's definitely something that people want to consider, because I know people are worried about picking up specific viruses now. So there's also other studies. Hydrogen exerts neuroprotective effects on OGD or damaged neurons in rat hippocampal by protecting mitochondrial functioning via regulating mitophagy mediated by PINK1 parking signaling pathway. So that may not make a lot of sense to you, but basically this study, titled Hydrogen-Rich Water Attenuates Oxidative Stress in Rats with Traumatic Brain Injury. This actually is a very popular study, and there's been more research done on humans around traumatic brain injury and head damage and pretty much any damage to the cranium. There's been a lot of research, and this is where kind of I think a lot of the excitement came from around molecular hydrogen, is that it has beneficial protective effects in the brain. And I get a lot of questions about brain health and brain support. A lot of people saying, well, I've got a lot of brain fog, I can't remember things the way I used to, my brain is not performing the way it should. And I will ask people a lot of the time if they have had any sort of traumatic brain injuries, and even when I see people with gut issues, because if I see potential issues with the vagus nerve, I'm thinking, well, have you ever had any head injuries or trauma to the head? Molecular hydrogen, if you go onto the Molecular Hydrogen Institute, there is just rows and rows and rows of studies on the neuroprotective effects of molecular hydrogen. Like so many. Oral hydrogen water induces neuroprotective ghrelin secretion in mice, also helping with satiety and hunger signals, which can obviously be helpful for some people with fat loss. The neuroprotective effects of intraperitoneal injection of hydrogen in rabbits with cardiac arrest. Benefits around cardiac health, which I get a lot of questions around that as well. I get a lot of questions around a lot of stuff in regards to health. Obviously, you all know that. So there was one that I shared with my cancer clients and people who have expressed concern around cancer. And this one was titled Hydrogen as a New Class of Radioprotective Agent. So a randomized placebo-controlled study showed that consumption of hydrogen-rich water reduces the biological reaction to radiation-induced oxidative stress. So basically, that protective mechanism again, and in this case around radiation, which also can be beneficial if you're just going for like an X-ray as well. Then what else is there? There's so much. Hydrogen-rich water consumption positively affects, this is the one I was thinking of. I found it. So this is the one. Hydrogen-rich water positively affects muscle performance, lactate response, and alleviates delayed onset muscle soreness after resistance training. So this study basically, and it was only a small study, but the results were quite strong, and gave us a good indication that there is a strong argument here that molecular hydrogen can be very beneficial post-exercise. So it showed significant improvements in muscle function, reduced lactic acid formation, and lower post-workout muscle soreness. This is an easy enough study to understand if you want to take a look at it. I will post the links in the description, but this one it's in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research, and it's new. It was done October 2022. It's titled Hydrogen-Rich Water Consumption Positively Affects Muscle Performance, Lactate Response, and Alleviates Delayed Onset Muscle Soreness After Resistance Training. Like this stuff is really the top of the iceberg. So with molecular hydrogen, I won't recommend it to everyone. It's usually when something specific stands out to me, especially with inflammation. Usually all of my cancer clients will immediately get recommended to try molecular hydrogen. So those will be clients who are dealing with some sort of cancer currently. Then if another client indicates that they have a lot of inflammation, a lot of aches and pains, a lot of swelling, maybe some brain issues, detoxification issues, I might say, hey, this could be a good idea for you to check out. Sometimes a client or a follower, some people who aren't even a client of mine, they'll reach out and they'll say, hey, I heard or I read your stuff on molecular hydrogen. I'm interested in trying it. And I'll say, okay, well, why are you thinking of trying something like this? And then they'll give me their reasons and I'll say, yeah, there's no harm. Like regardless, it's a very, very, very safe molecule. It does not interact with other molecules. The only instance I have seen, and I believe I did send an email to the Molecular Hydrogen Institute about this to see if they had heard anything, because molecular hydrogen is a reducing agent. It's a very strong detoxifier. Basically helps the body flush out whatever shouldn't be there and helps you be optimal. The only time I've seen this be a problem is in one of my clients who had a lot of metal throughout her body. She had a lot of pins, she had hip replacements, and she started molecular hydrogen, and then we started to see she started getting these rashes and reactions. And what it seemed to be, what I narrowed it down, was that, and I did actually find a study and I sent it to her. There was only one I could find, was that the hydrogen, because it's a reducing agent, it was basically breaking down the metal in her body and trying to detoxify it, because it saw this is an inorganic substance that should not be in this body. Let's get rid of it. And the hydrogen then was trying to push out the metal, and that was coming through on her skin. We saw rashes, and then as soon as I stopped the hydrogen, it all stopped. So to some people that can be a positive. I've spoken to some people about breaking down unwanted metals in the body, unwanted objects in the body. Could molecular hydrogen potentially do that? I think yes, it could. The research suggests it potentially could. Not to go down that rabbit hole too much, but otherwise it's a very, very, very safe molecule. Actually, it has been approved as a therapeutic in Japanese hospitals. It is one of the first therapeutics they'll use for many different circumstances and diseases. It's very popular throughout Japan and China. And this other study, I'm going to read out to you because it's quite interesting. It's titled Hydrogen, Chemical Properties, Health and Environmental Effects. So in this, it discusses smoke protection and detoxification, which I shared last summer in my biohacking library group because of the forest fires. Every year in Alberta, BC, we get exposed to a lot of forest fires, as do people down in California and Washington and whatnot get. But in this study, I'll share the link. It's actually on a website called lentech.com, and it goes into hydrogen. And what this basically showed us that in regards to detoxification, the atomic hydrogen is a powerful reductive agent even at ambient temperatures. So it reacts with the oxides and chlorides of many metals like silver, copper, lead, bismuth, mercury to produce free metals, which then it helps to detoxify. It reduces some salts to their metallic state, like nitrates and sodium and potassium cyanide. It reacts with a number of elements, metals and non-metals, to produce hydrides, which are the beneficial forms, the almost non-toxic forms. This basically means that molecular hydrogen has the potential to help break down and neutralize toxins that we are exposed to in the air. Again, another protective mechanism. And I believe I had found somewhere in this as well, this reinforced where I was going with that client that had the hip replacement and the steel throughout her body, that this hydrogen was breaking down all these different pins that she had in her knees and her hips, and she had a lot, and it was obviously scary to see, but amazing to show that molecular hydrogen is that strong and that could work that well. So it's definitely one of my top tools for inflammation. If anyone's worried about disease prevention, genetic expression, maybe there's a family history of cancer you're worried about, maybe there is a history of cardiovascular disease, Parkinson's, there is a lot of research around Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, autoimmune issues. Molecular hydrogen would definitely be something I would consider. One last study I'm going to give you here. I really like this one. Molecular hydrogen. This is a strong indicator of how efficacious molecular hydrogen is. So molecular hydrogen, you'll find this on PubMed. a preventative and therapeutic medical gas for various diseases. And in this study, this review discusses H2 biological effects and potential mechanisms of action in various diseases, including metabolic syndrome. Most people have metabolic issues, organ injury, and cancer, describes effective H2 delivery approaches, and summarizes recent progress towards H2 applications in human medicine. So this study basically shows that molecular hydrogen is very beneficial as a therapeutic for many, many diseases, and including kidney issues, liver issues, gut issues. I've seen a lot of benefit with my diverticulosis with molecular hydrogen. There's research around ulcerative colitis, IBD. The list goes on and on and on. So molecular hydrogen really is this angel molecule that is quite safe, provided you don't have all that metal in your body. Can be very beneficial for reducing inflammation and even just reducing oxidative stress overall. So this is where your stress is the potential to damage your cells and your DNA, and just mess stuff up, and hydrogen can have an effect on that. It is a strong antioxidant. There is a direct connection to the regulation of autophagy too, which is your body's way of cleaning out damaged cells in order to regenerate newer, stronger, healthier cells, which we want. There's a lot of talk around autophagy nowadays, especially with fasting. So hydrogen can play a very beneficial effect there. And this is also one of the ways in which hydrogen has been shown to help with Alzheimer's and dementia as well. So hydrogen, or as it can be referred to, hydrogen-rich water, which we would take it in tablet form in water, has been shown to improve mitochondrial function, energize the cells, improve blood flow and circulation. That's that anti-inflammatory effect. Very, very important for anti-aging, staying looking young and youthful, but also blood clots. It's been shown to improve skin tone, moisture, and health. China and Japan, molecular hydrogen baths are quite popular. You can get molecular hydrogen beauty products as well. I believe drink hydrogen-rich water. They might have a H2 beauty mask. I know one of the manufacturers do. They have like a face mask that has hydrogen in it. So there's a lot of research, so much so that beauty bathing, hydrogen beauty bathing, and hydrogen beauty spas, as I mentioned, they're very popular in Japan and China. Molecular hydrogen has also been shown to improve hormone function and psychological stress in mice and humans. So your overall resiliency for the adrenals can be helped there with the hydrogen. There was one, because I get a lot of questions about fatty liver disease and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. There was a strong study published in April 2019 that shows hydrogen-rich water was effective at reducing non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Part of that, I believe, is the anti-inflammatory effect, along with improving detoxification, but also that metabolic syndrome as well. And there was another out of Harvard Medical School and Boston's Children's Hospital in 2019 that showed inhaled hydrogen could protect the brain during heart-lung bypass in newborns, which is incredible. So in conclusion, and I'm going to refer to a section of a study titled Molecular Hydrogen Therapy Ameliorates Organ Damage Induced by Sepsis. I was speaking to someone about sepsis yesterday. Yeah, they have a big lump in their stomach, and I'm like, you need to get that checked out. So basically, in summary, molecular hydrogen therapy has a protective effect on disease, including sepsis, which has been proved by pathological biopsy, level of inflammatory factors, anti-inflammatory factors, oxidative stress reaction, behavioral experiment, and other related indicators of organ function. Although there is a dispute of affections of molecular hydrogen therapy in liver and kidney, the mainstream views show molecular hydrogen therapy is beneficial to organs, including the brain, lung, liver, kidneys, and small intestines, which is where we see the diverticulosis. So I could go on and on. If you do go to the molecular hydrogen website, you will just be bombarded with research. It's just row after row after row. There really is thousands, although unless you're in the health industry, you may never have heard it. It's not as mainstream or as talked about as, say, vitamin D3 is or vitamin C. But that's why I'm trying to get the word out, because people need to know how beneficial this is. Now, when you look at price, it is very hard to make the molecular hydrogen tablets. They are very clean. They're the producers. There's only a few producers that I would trust. They do a lot of testing to make sure that their products are very clean and efficacious. There are no binders. There are no toxins. I like Drink HRW. I like Dr. Mercola's brand a lot. And then there is, let's see, what's the other one called? So you're looking at generally about how much do I pay? I think $80 for 90 tablets of Dr. Mercola's molecular hydrogen. So that works out then at, yes, I am using a calculator, like 88 cents, 90 cents per tablet. And if you're taking one a day, that's going to last you 90 days. Depending on circumstances, some people will take 2 a day. I most days will take 2 a day to support my gut health and post-workout inflammation. Again, it's selective there. There are smaller bottles you can get if you just wanted to try it. Sometimes I'll get a client or a follower to just try. Let's try these 30 because of your symptoms. You should feel the effects pretty fast. So we've got Dr. Mercola, Drink HRW. You can look them up. Quicksilver Scientific makes molecular hydrogen tablets, but I haven't tried them yet. So I have tried, Dr. Mercola is the one I buy a lot. I do have, and I have taken a lot, the Drink HRW one. There's one other one, and I just can't get the name of it. That I trust. I'll find it. You don't want to just be buying, oh, there it is. It's Active H2 hydrogen. So I've had that. Actually, that was the very first hydrogen I ever tried when I was doing all my kind of research into hydrogen around cancer and all. So that's from Water and Wellness, who is a guy called Robert Slovaks. When he's, I think, one of the founders of that company. He has a lot of great research around water and another product called Quinton. So that was the first one. So that's on the Water and Wellness site. You may be able to get it on Amazon. So that's Active H2 Ultra. Then the other one is Dr. Mercola's H2 Molecular Hydrogen. I get that on iHerb. And then there's Drink HRW tablets. You can get them on Amazon. Don't buy the raspberry flavor. 1, I don't like the taste of it. 2, it's not as efficacious. You don't get as potent of a concentration of hydrogen ions. So just get the plain one. You can also get that. There's a couple other websites, like supplement websites, that sell Drink HRW. Amazon is really the easiest one for us in Canada. Hey, iHerb, I like iHerb. They're pretty fast with their shipping as well, so you could go with them. But Otherwise, I'm not going to recommend another supplement. I'm sure the Quicksilver one is great. Quicksilver is a good company. They've got a great reputation. I just have not tried it yet. So out of the three, I would just stick with the three that I have recommended, because dare I say, there are some charlatans out there that are going to tell you their product works and it doesn't actually work. And I can tell you from my experience, not just with myself, but with clients, that the forms I am recommending, and I do not get any kickback from any of them, but they are the ones that are efficacious. I see the concentrations, I see the results in these forms of molecular hydrogen. Again, if you do decide to get it, over on my YouTube channel, Shemaine's Model Health, there is a video, if you scroll back down a couple of months, it's not too far down, that says new how to take molecular hydrogen. Before you even take your hydrogen, you want to watch that video so that you understand how to take it properly. So this podcast a little bit longer, I think quite informative though. There's just so much that I want to talk about with hydrogen. There'll probably be a follow-up podcast. I'm hoping to get someone on to discuss hydrogen more in depth than I could, so fingers crossed I can make that happen. But otherwise, as always, please share with anyone that you think might benefit from this information. Sharing is caring. Also, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my podcasts. I really appreciate it. It helps me a lot. And if you have any questions, don't be afraid to reach out to me and I'll respond to them as soon as possible. Okay, everyone, have a fantastic day and I will speak to you again soon. Bye-bye.